Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to speak about my painting called Resolution. It's right behind me. You can see it. It looks like a splash of colors, and that is exactly what it is. It's a splash of colors. Let me explain the title Resolution, why I chose the title Resolution from what I originally thought of naming it, and how the transition within me made me change the title. So when I painted Resolution, it was a regular day that we all, um, mostly we go through when I say a regular day, I mean you wake up and you go through the mundane tasks of the day. Probably it is, uh, if you're in mostly in the home, then you're doing the fulfilling the responsibilities of the daily chores, washing dishes, doing the laundry, cooking, maybe cleaning, and things like that. If you're working, then you wake up and get ready, you go to your work, you do your work, and at the end of the day, you're back home and you're doing whatever it is that you do after your work hours. If you're doing something else, if the routine is something else, then you just wake up and you are going about that routine throughout the day, and you come back and the day is over. So this day began as a regular day when I was painting, and I have no idea, out of the blues, the the energy shifted in a split second, and I had no idea how did I get triggered, what happened. I couldn't fathom it, I couldn't even analyze it. But just the regular task of washing dishes, let me tell you, I was just washing dishes and something just happened, and I was in one of the worst moods possible, and I was mumbling to myself. Usually, all that's what all mothers do, and we end up mumbling, especially when we are doing mundane tasks like washing dishes or just making breakfast or just doing laundry, and then we are just mumbling to ourselves. And that is how it started. I was mumbling to myself. I don't even remember what I was mumbling, but I was mumbling because I was frustrated to just wash dishes. And that's when I realized that this is not about washing dishes. I realized that much later after finishing this painting. But this was not about the mundane task of washing dishes. This was a built up, for some of us, we have built up over days, weeks, months, years, decades even. And this built up is, I'm not talking about the heavier emotions of this built up, like um, anger, resentment, bitterness. No, those are extreme built up emotions that come out in sometimes in extreme ways. This was just the regular frustration of washing dishes, maybe one too many times, and which I think many can resonate with this act of just washing dishes or doing laundry a bit, one too many times, and then we tell stories to ourselves that, yeah, I'm doing this all alone, nobody wants to help me, nobody you know, whatever it is you think, whatever I was thinking. But the torment within me was so strong that I was conflicted. Do I just throw away the dishes and say I'm not doing it? But having obsessive compulsive disorder, I couldn't leave that. I had to wash the dishes, otherwise the built up would become a mountain. So I did the dishes, and then I had this canvas, and it was just the previous evening. I didn't I think I was just bored, or I didn't know what to do, so I just painted the entire thing blue. I said I'll see what I have to do with it tomorrow or day after, or whatever calls to me. I had color. I was sitting in, and it's not a big canvas, so I just colored the entire sheet blue, and it was sitting, and I when I had a little idea, I was looking at, swans, and I was reading up about swans, and how beautiful they are. They mate for life. If one swan dies, then the other one is depressed forever. And I was reading up about that, and I said, wow, I would love to paint swans. That's how peaceful I was one day before. And the next day, the dishes brought out the a different energy. They said, no, you will not paint swans today. You will paint something else today. So after the dishes, I looked at the piece was there. I said, okay, what do I do? What do I do with this? How do I paint? How can I paint the emotion of uh, a mundane routine of washing dishes and doing laundry? How do I paint that? there is there is no there is no creative way of bringing about that emotion. So I said, why not just let it all out? Usually when people let things out, they do something that brings out that energy. You work out, you go for a workout, you go for a brisk walk, you go for a swim, you go for a run, or something like that, where you expend all your energy, and it does, it brings out the endorphins, and you calm down and you're a little more relaxed. For some who they talk to a loved one and they just take it all out, they vent it all out. I do that as well. So we vent it out to our loved ones, and then it's out, you feel a little bit better. And sometimes it's just that you ride out the time. So you have this emotion, you may not do any of these things, but you just do your time of 3 hours, 4 hours, and then suddenly, I don't know, maybe the planets change above, you're in a better mood. So, but I had this way to express myself, and I had this piece of canvas in front of me on the table, and I said, why not just express it? Whatever it is I'm feeling, instead of running away from it, or instead of putting labels to it, why not just let it all out in the best way that you know how to? And the best way I know is just paint. So I didn't even think about it. I took all the colors that were in front of me. I didn't go searching for the colors. I said, no, I want blue and I want white, and let me, no, not at all. The colors were in front of me. I said, I will play with, and this is a specific word, play. I said, I will play with all the colors that are in front of me. And this canvas became my playground. I took the colors. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't even, I had a knife. I didn't even look for the brushes, nothing. I just took whatever, one paintbrush, and I took one color at a time, and I just started splashing it. It did not matter what direction. There was no strategy to it. Um, there was nothing to it. I was just playing. I took the knife. With the knife, I put, I don't know, the some patches came. Then with the brush, I splashed, and the splashes were all over the canvas. And there was no restriction to it. Like, wow, if I splash, what if the splash goes somewhere else? Then I have to clean some more. I didn't think at all. I was playing. So I took this. If it splashes all over the place, fine, I will clean it up. Doesn't matter. But I will clean it up from a different perspective, from a different emotion, from a more resolved state of mind, as I was before I started to splash the colors. That was the difference, and I knew that difference within me. So I went all out. And if I wish I had a bigger canvas, it would have been fun to just splash on a big canvas. But with each splash, I was letting out a thought. Another splash, I was letting out an emotion. Another thought. With each splash, what I'm trying to say is I was mumbling. So this I was mumbling while washing the dishes, and I started to mumble while splashing. But here the difference is the mumbling with the dishes goes on. It doesn't resolve in the brain. But when I'm painting and I was mumbling, I knew it's going to be resolved. I knew I will I will attain a certain level of balance within me. I just knew it. So I did that, and I looked at it and I said, wow, this is good. It's not so bad. It's nice. It's filled with a lot of mumbling. When I look at it, it was not, the painting is not filled with anger, bitterness, you know, the emotions that I spoke about. None of that aggression was in it. It was just a canvas with a routine mumble. And I thought it's so apt. The background happened to be blue. I don't know how the universe works, but the previous day when I had the background of blue, wanting to paint swans, but the universe said no. I think it knew that the next day this is going to happen, and we are going to have the most serene background, most calming effect. The blue is a very calming color, so we are going to have blue. We are going to have a calming background, and that calmness is going to absorb all that she's going to mumble the next day. So universe knew that, and I mumbled into uh, an ocean of calm. And when the ocean is so big, it absorbs whatever you dish it out, it absorbs it. And the predominant energy that comes out is whatever whatever the ocean. How do I say this? Whatever the ocean just is. The blue, the ocean. Yes, it has its moments of storms, tsunamis, and whatever. But at the end of the day, the ocean is just, when you look at it from a higher point, it looks like a very calm surface. So that's what I'm trying to say. The ocean is just calm, and then it will just bring out the calm. So it absorbed all my mumbling and yapping on that day, and I looked at it, and I thought of calling it Unresolved, because when I started it, I had so many unresolved issues of washing dishes in my head and doing the laundry in my head. So I thought, okay, this painting is, it's all about unresolved thoughts, emotions, whatever. And then I realized not at all. Maybe it may have started that way, but it's not ended that way. It has ended with a resolution of merging, of mumbling, and calmness. That's how I looked at it. And I immediately thought, yes, I'm going to call it resolution, because somehow while painting it, I said to myself, I resolved washing dishes. I resolved my issues with washing dishes. I resolved my issues with doing the laundry. I resolved a lot of um, issues in the process of painting resolution. And that is what I wanted to talk about today, that this is not such a heavy duty painting. It's just about a mundane routine, a regular day, that that needed some kind of resolution. That's what it is. That's what this painting is about. And I wanted to share that today. So I hope when you look at it, maybe I don't know what you will feel, honestly. You might think it's just splashes, or you might feel something by looking at it. But this was my process when I painted resolution. And I want to thank you for staying with me on this journey with my art. And I would like to know what you think about this painting. So until next time, goodbye.